It's grid
No.
one, everybody.
Getting out of most relationships is not trauma, it's freedom, and we rarely look back. Also, real men understand how to deal with their feelings, and are not soy boys crying in the flat whites.
Oh, wait. I just had a total fucking epiphany. I think there's a really big differential in grid one. Thank you so much, because that just like major fucking light bulb went off in my head. So, are you guys familiar with this trope of women being attracted to guys who are bad boys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, women will be writing letters to dudes in prison, like serial killers and shit. Men really aren't doing that type of shit. So when we're talking about trauma, like a guy will, granted, there's like women with BPD and that will fucking ruin your life and shit. Men can definitely get like trauma from dating a chick. Don't get me wrong. However, I would argue that a lot of women will specifically seek to date bad boy types, jerks, assholes, whatever, because these men typically tend to have dark triad personality traits that a lot of women find attractive or they confuse for confidence. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of good men that are confident, but like I would argue a lot of women would rather date like the bad boy who's a jerk but he's confident versus like the nice guy, right? So could it be the case that women actually develop more trauma because of the very men that women choose to date, because women are attracted to bad boys and jerks and assholes, whereas men, we're typically attracted to like soft and kind women?
I mean,
Like for example, there's this thing called, it's hybristophilia. Is it hybristophilia? Let me just, hybristophilia. Wait, it's hybristophilia. Hybristophilia, meaning to perpetuate, the phenomenon of an individual being sexually aroused by a criminal offender. So this typically manifests itself more so in women than in men. And so women are, to some degree, are attracted to the criminal, not all women, of course, find to some degree criminality attractive in men, because men who have a propensity towards violence or criminality are more capable of defending you or have the capacity for violence, and women find that attractive. Obviously, I'm not saying women want to be beaten or anything by men, but you want a guy who's capable of protecting you in some sort of self-defense or violence situation. So a guy who has capacity for violence, and this can be evidenced, like if you're a violent criminal, that could be attractive to women. So could it be the case that women actually confer more trauma and baggage from their relationships because they're attracted to men who might be toxic?
Yes.
one of the things that I learned in psychology is that we tend to date whoever is reminding us of the most difficult parent. So if that person, grew up having a difficult father, maybe he was absent or maybe he was abusive, that person have the tendency to seek that, those, behaviors in, their partners, because, subconsciously they're trying to fix their relationship with with their father through their partners.
And it's also because that's what they're comfortable, it's all they've known.
Yeah.
So it takes some experience to teach yourself that's not what's normal and getting out of what you're comfortable with, because you're used to that emotional instability, you're used to that absence, used to the manipulation, just not having someone stable. So those are organically the types of people you originally attract, but then you can get out of that cycle, and realize and come to matters with the fact that that is why you previously liked people like that. And that used to be me previously. I used to like boys for so long because of family trauma like that.
Also, I want to add on to my previous point. I would argue that perhaps women get more trauma and baggage from relationships because a lot of women pursue men that excite them in some way. You often hear women almost need to have the vibe, the chemistry, the click, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This sort of nebulous, vague term, the vibe, the chemistry, the click. Who is best capable of eliciting that in women? Typically playerish dudes, guys who don't really give a fuck about you, assholes, jerks, bad boys, etc. It's a trope. Like this is a thing. This is a stereotype. Women are attracted to bad boys. Okay, well,
Low self-esteem women are attracted to
a
bad
lot
boys.
of women. There's even women who are high self-esteem women who, I need a bad boy phase. I need to date around and date a whole bunch of different kinds of guys. Like,
No.
I'm not saying all women, but like there's certainly something to be said that women are far more women are much more willing to date a guy who displays criminality, for example, than the reverse, I would argue. Additionally, I would say that typically you hear women complain about men being boring. He's not funny. Like, for example, men don't have it very high on the totem pole of, is she funny? Is she entertaining? Who's the guy who's going to keep you entertained and keep you on your feet and keep you excited and keep that like dopamine, keep that the rush of excitement? Probably kind of toxic guys that kind of treat you a certain way. So,
And let me add, I hate using the term trauma. I think trauma is one of these buzzwords that's getting overused, using to describe regular shit that occurs. People break up. People go through heartbreak. As humans, we're equipped to deal with heartbreak. It doesn't mean it was trauma. And women take on more trauma than men do because women have more unrealistic expectations in relationships, which means when their expectations aren't met, their goals aren't met, they take much more of a hit. Women have a heightened stress response. They respond to stress differently than men. They experience stress deeper than men. And they're more deeply affected by the way they're going to perceive relationships when they move forward after they didn't meet their expectations in their previous dating experiences. The most traumatic thing a man typically experiences with a woman is infidelity. And if you ask me, when a man experiences a certain level of acute trauma, I'm going to say acute because there's various types of trauma. So acute trauma. When a man experiences that acute trauma, then what that does is that sharpens him. That makes him more aware of the reality of female nature, what women are capable of, what women will do, and that primes him to better deal with women in his future, set boundaries that he didn't set in his first relationship, have standards, have preferences, exhibit those things, demonstrate those things that he probably didn't do because a lot of men love really, really naively when they first get into relationships. They think women won't do certain things. They think women aren't capable of doing certain things. And then when that woman does it, it's like, oh shit, like I got cheated on. Oh shit, she fucked me over. Now I know moving forward what to look for in women. And that makes him more attractive because now he becomes the guy who's much more hardened emotionally. He becomes the guy who's not scared to tell a woman no. He becomes the guy who's not scared to hold a woman accountable. These are things that women actually respond to in men. They like men like that do these things. Whereas with women will constantly curve men once they've experienced something traumatic. I'm not going through that again. I'm not doing that. Men ain't shit. Fuck men. Those are the things you hear women say when they've been hurt. So I think it affects women a little deeper than it does men. And I think in reverse, it makes women less attractive to men and makes them less willing to get in relationships. Whereas men, it preps them more for the reality and the brutality that comes with dealing with women that they were unaware of prior to that. That's my opinion.
yeah, I don't often hear men saying, "Oh, there just wasn't the chemistry, or there wasn't the vibe, the click. She's not funny. I need a funny girl." Like, guys aren't really saying that. I think when women say there's no chemistry, there's no vibe, there's no lightning, there's no butterflies, there's no whatever it is, he's boring. Translation, he doesn't trigger my anxious trauma response, which I confuse with the love.